Live from the Ingles studio,
I can't wait to play with myself every day.
the Sportsocracy.
Damn the devil to hell! Let the big dogs eat! Let them on the field!
Come get you some of this.
Fire them cannons! By golly, put more powder in those things.
He couldn't take any more disappointment.
Oh my God. The Jets killed him.
And welcome into the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, 1400. The Sportsocracy heard everywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. Seen everywhere on YouTube. Go to thesportsocracy.com, click that live video link, subscribe to the channel so you can join us in the chat. You can't join us live in the chat today because it is day 2 of Travel Day up to Green Bay, Wisconsin. It is the final mock draft of Flostradamus Jeremy Greene. It is day 2 of the mock. Welcome in, everybody. It is phenomenal to be with you once again. So excited about making the trip up to Wisconsin. The Ingles Living the Dream Tour riding on with the support of Ingles Supermarkets. Low prices, love the savings. Parks Ford of Hendersonville. Clarissa Sells, WNC.com. And Bears Smokehouse Barbecue. Jeremy Greene, rounds 2 and 3. We're going to have to do these quickly to get through all of the picks in the next 3 hours, but we're up to the task.
Well, we have to get through 69 picks here. I feel like we can do that. I believe in us. This is where the possible meets the impossible and creates the possible.
All right. Let's get into the mock draft. So yesterday in round 1, we had several trades that will affect the draft order here. Instead of the 33rd pick belonging to the Cleveland Browns, the Minnesota Vikings made a trade with the Browns that allowed the Browns to get back up into the back end of the first round to get their quarterback in Jackson Dart. So Minnesota, with the first pick of day 2, what do?
Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. They have been really in on this guy. And the only thing that I can figure, because they did add Javon Hargrave, they did add Jonathan Allen from the Washington Commanders. The only thing I can figure is that they think Derek Harmon can play nose tackle, and more power to you. I mean, I guess they have Harrison Phillips. They do have Harrison Phillips who can play in the middle on rundowns. I guess they're planning on putting Harmon. I like him, and I think he can be a 3-down player in time. I guess what I'm looking at with this is I don't know that that's where I would have gone, but they have been so in on him over the course of the process that I couldn't stop doing it. And getting him right here at 33 for me is an improvement. He only had one real year of production. He was great last year at Oregon. And maybe they're planning on just playing a rotation. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to think for them. Harmon is a name that I've constantly heard with Minnesota.
So is it that he's undersized, too slender, too mobile? What is your problem with him being a strict nose?
No, he's not really undersized. I mean, the PFF comp on him is Christian Barmore, which I think's pretty good.
It's a good one. Yeah.
So he would be, for me in that scenario, would be a 5-tech. The problem is I think Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen are both going to be 5-techs too in that 3-man front. So I'm not real sure. I do feel like between Phillips, Harmon, Allen, and Hargrave, you've got a really formidable defensive front.
Derek Harmon out of Oregon, the defensive tackle, is the pick to the Minnesota Vikings' first pick in the second round. Second pick in the second round, the Philadelphia Eagles, a pick that they got in a trade with the New York Giants. Who is the selection?
They've been on this guy basically the whole process. Nick Hurton for a Scorton edge rusher out of Texas A&M.
Did you
How
get
he-
reprimanded for not saying Scorton right
Do I know?
from somebody? Did you get reprimanded for not saying Scorton right when you kept calling him Skirtin?
No.
Some reason you changed that up in the last 2 weeks. I'm just curious.
I heard him say it.
Okay.
There are a few names that I've now got pronunciations on that. Marcus Mbow, yeah, the M's silent. It's Marcus Bow.
It's just Bow. Oh, Bo.
Yeah. Didn't know that.
Okay.
Pretty sure I called him Mbow to his face and didn't mean to. My bad. Didn't mean to screw your name up, bruh. Nick Scorton is a guy that I really like. I think he's going to be a high-level player in the NFL because he's going to play at the weight that he came in at the combine. I feel like that was basically him saying, I know I wasn't used appropriately last year. Go back to that Purdue tape. You'll see what you're getting out of me. And Howie Roseman's going to see that and go, yep, there's another dog. Mm-hmm. That'll make up for the Bryce Huff kerfuffle. Because you go Huff.
Well, I mean, look, you can't hit a home
Jalex
run
Hunt.
on every. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you go Jalex Hunt, Nolan Smith, Nick Scorton. That's formidable.
Mm-hmm. You can't hit a home run on every pick that you make, right? I mean, it seems like at every turn, maybe not every turn things have gone right for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they've certainly made an impact, right, from what mercenary are we getting this year? Last year, Bryce Huff, it didn't go so well. Remember the Hassan Reddick year? That was fun, right? Got a lot of enjoyment out of that. And you look at if they're not home runs, they've hit triples with just about every other guy that they've added. From Cooper DeJean with the big Super Bowl moment, great rookie year that he had last year. Quinion Mitchell, obviously, he's a dog. Zach Bond, that came out of complete left field for most people. And he was an afterthought. He was a disappointment in New Orleans. And for some reason, it just works in Philadelphia. And this Nick Scorton would be another great move.
Bob Brown asked if Scorton can drop into coverage. I think he can. I've actually had this argument with a good number of people. I think he can, and I'm not the only one. I mean, look, even at 280 pounds, he still moved outrageously well. I mean, he got dropped a little bit at Texas A&M. I'd seen it more at Purdue, but it was more of just it was almost just kind of throwing you a curveball. I think Scorton can drop, and I think he's a perfect fit for Philadelphia.
Third pick of the second round, number 35 overall, the Tennessee Titans on the clock.
Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State.
All right, you're going to get your quarterback at one. Give him a weapon.
I like Egbuka. I don't think he does. He's not elite at anything. I've said about Egbuka, I think he's a second rounder, not because I think he's a second round talent, but because he doesn't have that. This is what I sell. Ibuka's going to play, I would say, primarily out of the slot. But you pair him with Calvin Ridley, you give Cam Ward a second option, you give him one to grow with. Ibuka's a great route runner. He's not blindingly fast. He's not got great size. He's just a football player. And I like that when it comes to a player that I'm looking to pair with a young quarterback. I want it to be somebody that's consistent. And Egbuka is very consistent.
That he is. Very reliable target. And hopefully Cam Ward can get some use out of him. Mm-hmm. Or hopefully it won't be a disaster for him to go there. The 36th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky. This is another one, Jacksonville. They've been on him throughout the entire process. I like him Harrison's got a weird skill set because he can press to a point. He's better in off-ball zone. But you saw in the 40, he ran a 4.28. And you saw closing speed on the field. I did not see that much closing speed. I never thought he was that fast. So the 40 time, I'm not going to say it came out of left field. It was surprising to me. And I've got the PFF grades up on the screen. You might not want to look at those. Because last year was not great.
They're not good.
No, but he had been elite the year before. One thing I will tell you, and this is a Trevor Sikkema analysis 101. He had a good number of interceptions. A lot of them were insanely lucky.
Mm-hmm.
He does play tip balls well, though, and he's really good at playing an overthrow. But his interception numbers are a little skewed.
Yeah, okay. Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky, fourth pick of the second round of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 37 overall, this is the Las Vegas Raiders. After the Raiders went Will Johnson in the first round, now what?
Quinshawn Judkins, running back out of Ohio State. So
they don't need to take Ashton Gianti at 6.
Exactly. And I'll be honest with you, I think Quinshawn Judkins fits more into – I think he fits better with Pete Carroll even than Genty does. Now, he's not a great player in the passing game. And there is some tread on the tires. But, this is a big, thick kid. Very rarely goes down on first contact. And he's got home run hitter speed. I also love the fact that he never fumbles. We have a handful of guys here in a row that, in terms of running backs, that they never fumble. Then we get to some guys who fumble way too often. Looking at you, Dylan Sampson.
Mm-hmm. Quinshawn Judkins, he is, is he the replacement that they've been looking for since Josh Jacobs went to Green Bay?
I believe so. I think he can be a borderline bell cow. Now, I will be honest with you. I have a big difference between Judkins and Travion Henderson because I think Travion Henderson's a member of a committee. I don't think he'll ever be the head of the snake. More of a home run hitter, good in pass pro, but I don't think he's a complete back. Henderson, to me, needs to be a 1A to a 1B. Judkins, I think, can just be the one with a 2. And that's what separates them. There are 3.5 bell cows in this class for me. 3 guys that I know are going to be true number ones. And then Judkins is that half. And in the right scenario, and I think the Raiders would be the right scenario, he could be the 4th.
Let's go to pick number 38, the New England Patriots, now on the clock. They went Will Campbell in the first round.
I'm not
what
done
position
on that
do they go with
line.
now?
I'm not done on that line. I'm adding another offensive line. I'm going Tyler Booker.
Oh, okay.
Look, I got to make sure Drake May doesn't get killed. And between Stephon Diggs and Demario Douglas and Hunter Henry, I don't feel like I have to have that number one guy. Plus, there's a receiver that I absolutely love for New England that I think they'll target with their 3rd-round pick. Guard gets ugly. And I don't see Cole Strange as a Mike Vrabel type guy. So, there's a possibility. I've heard a possibility they can move him to center. I don't really care what you do with him. I just look at Tyler Booker and go, this is more what I think Vrabel's going to look for. Big-bodied. And there might be more to get out of him. I don't love him as a run blocker. But he is still the 2nd-best guard in this class.
So with the first 2 picks of the draft for New England, you've completely rebuilt the left side of the line.
Yes. Yes, I've got to protect Drake May at all costs.
Yep. Left tackle, Will Campbell. Left guard will end up being Tyler Booker. Couldn't ask for much of a better start for New England here. It brings us to the 7th pick in the second round. And that one belongs to the Chicago Bears.
So I said when I took Genty at 10, this is not a team with a lot of needs, so they can really sit here and just take best player available. That's what they do here, a guy that they've had in the building. Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon. That would be a better value if you're going to replace Braxton Jones and turn him into a swing, because now you've got Darnell Wright and Josh Connerly on the outside with Caleb Williams, with Ashton Genty. You now have a really mobile set of bookends for a team that's going to run a lot. I love Connerly. I have heard that people are not necessarily as wild about him because they think he's going to take some work. Let's say that's true. Braxton Jones is not a player I have to replace immediately. I mean, if he starts the year, so be it. Connerly can be the swing. I can teach him how to play tackle. I can let him grow, build into the body. But Connerly, to me, is a future left tackle in this league. And I don't think it's going to take all that long. And he would be an improvement over Braxton Jones without using crazy high-end capital. I can almost look at this pick as a free scratcher because this is the last pick off that Carolina deal. I've done pretty well with that capital so far, and I like Connerly a lot.
Mm-hmm. All right, you got Connerly and Ashton Gianti as the first two picks for the Chicago Bears.
And I pick again in
tuned,
two
Bears
picks.
Fans. Yep, just stay tuned. You got another one coming in just a pick or two. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we will pick it back up here with the New Orleans Saints at number 40 overall. Day 2 of the Sportsocracy final mock draft here on ESPN Asheville.
The Sportsocracy.
What are you people? On dope?
Back in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville is the final mock draft of the Draftmas season, the official media entry of one at ESPN. Draft nerd Jeremy Greene coming to us from the NFLDraft.net Mullet Manor. Currently, we are on the road to Green Bay, Wisconsin, so this is a pre-recorded thing. So if you don't like what we say, then, just wait a minute and you can send us a message after the show. We'll get it. It'll be all right. We are working our way through the second round. We are up to pick number 40, Jeremy. The New Orleans Saints. Saints fans not pleased with what you did in the first round. So you got some making up to do.
I am but just a simple messenger, relaying the message that has been delivered to me.
Michael Williams was the pick at number 9 in the first round for New Orleans. So let's see what they do at 40.
Alec Ayumanor, wide receiver from Stanford.
Going wide receiver, okay.
I think that should help. That will cushion the blow a little bit. This gives you an outside presence, gives you another weapon. So now you've got Olave. Also gives you some protection on Olave because he's had a lot of concussions. You get Shaheed back. I'm not 100% sure who your quarterback is, but I'm pretty confident of which one you're going to draft at some point here. So I think this is going to be Spencer Rattler's team for a year. I think this is a blip year for them. That's one of the reasons that the Michael Williams thing made more sense to me, is that I feel like this is going to be the year where they clean up the cap. They're going to give Kellen Moore that, I don't have another way to call it, blip year. We know you're going to go 4-13. We're well aware of that. But we gave you very little to work with because our cap situation was a nightmare. I still can't believe they brought Derek Carr back. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. And then he winds up with a shoulder injury, and injury is the one thing that money was completely guaranteed for.
Yep.
Like Mickey Loomis, do you not understand how money works? I think somebody should sit him down with a pocket full of change and go, penny, nickel, dime, quarter. If you add those together, that makes 41 cents.
Mm-hmm.
and pull out the dollars. But you need to do that the next day because you don't want to overwork him.
Yes. Speaking of 41, we're at pick number 41. Chicago Bears on the clock with their third pick of the draft after taking Ashton Gianti at 10 overall and then just picking up Josh Connerly Jr., the tackle out of Oregon. What do they do now?
If you didn't love the Connerly pick, I have a feeling you're going to like this one better. Oluwafemi Oladejo, edge rusher, UCLA.
Was wondering when the edge rusher was going to come into play here.
I've come to really like this kid. I mean, at fait accompli, I wrote him off. You know, I saw him in summer scouting. He was a linebacker. I thought he was largely irrelevant. He's really bad in coverage. So if you think he's going to be one of those guys, well, we can play him at linebacker, we can play him at edge rusher. Nah. Let's stick to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
He does one thing pretty well. He does the other thing rather poorly. But, I mean, the kid looks like he's built out of granite. So he really – I thought he was good at the Senior Bowl. He's had a really good process. A lot of teams really like this kid.
Oladejo, the edge rusher out of UCLA, goes at the 9th pick in the second round, and that brings up Jeremy's Jets once again. And you went Tyler Warren. You got yourself the tight end in the first round. So what self-serving prophecy are you about to lay on us now?
It's not a self-serving prophecy. It's, okay, Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Now I got two weapons.
Oh.
Now I got two. Two of them. I love Trey Harris. I know not everybody does. And I'm not going to lie to you. Originally when I did this, I had another pick here. And then the Jets wound up with Trey Harris in the third round. And I went, nope, that's not how that's going to work. Mm-hmm. And I ran back through it. And I swapped them. And I went, yep, that actually makes more sense. Because the other one's an offensive lineman. And the linemen seemed to fall, which surprised me. We have a huge run on corners coming. The receivers slipped a little bit. The linemen fell a lot.
Wow.
But Trey Harris, to me, deep threat guy, big build. I know the Giants would have loved to have had him because he was Malik Neighbors' quarterback in high school. I think he's just got a lot of nuance to his game. Really good after the catch. I mean, does he need work? Sure. He's not the fastest guy you've ever seen. He's not a gigantic guy. But I think he's one of the best outside over-the-top receivers in this class. I've compared him to Roma Dunze, and I think they might be closer than I even thought.
Okay. The 11th pick in the second round, that's San Francisco 49ers back on the clock. Mike Greene was the first pick in the first round at number 11 overall, the edge rusher out of Marshall.
San Francisco's really trying to make me like them. Savone Ravel, cornerback out of East Carolina. Kid's coming off an ACL. He hasn't really been able to run during the process. He is electric. And I'll be honest, he's another one. Had he not gotten hurt last year, I think he would have gone in the top 20. But you put him in that Robert Saleh defense, he can be your Sauce Gardner. Long, really good in off-ball. And the injury history is absolutely terrifying because he's had a lot. But from everything I've heard, the medical came back clean. Really good in press, too. Now, sometimes in press he gets a little too aggressive and winds up with having to recover. The thing is that he runs like a 4.3 540. At 6'3", 100, I can't remember how much he weighed in at. PFS got him at 193. I don't think that was right. But it might be.
Mm-hmm.
I love Ravel. I know you love Ravel.
I do.
I know you want him in the second round of your Bucks. I don't think he's getting there.
Yeah, he won't make it that far. You had your choice. You either have to take him too high or he's not going to be there when you pick again. If you're Tampa Bay and you're picking in that late teens area. it is what it is. I hope the kid does really, really well wherever he goes. San Francisco, they need to hit on something in the draft, so I'm all for it. Savone Ravel from East Carolina going to the San Francisco 49ers at 43 overall. 44, that's the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm going to channel my inner Chris Berman here. Luther, beast or burden?
That's not bad.
I don't know which one he's going to be. Look, this kid's really good with the ball in his hand. The problem is it's hard to get the ball in his hand. Production dropped off a cliff last year, and everybody says, well, the quarterback played. The quarterback's borderline draftable, and you had one of the best tackles in the country. Why did he fall off so much? I can tell you why he fell off so much. Because he's not a great route runner. He's fine. But it's not like jump up and down about it. He's small. But you get him into a system where he can play in the slot. This would kick Debo out wide, I think, more. And it gives you a second option for Dak Prescott. I don't like Burden in a lot of places. You know, the comp on him has been poor man's Debo Samuel. And I agree with that. I think you may have to get the ball in his hand through jet sweeps and maybe even out of the backfield at times because I just don't know how he's going to win.
So like the same thing they do with like Turpin. They do that with him, don't they?
Yes. The thing about Burden, though, is if he ever figures out how to win consistently, and I think one of the ways to do it is play him out of the slot. The other is to manufacture the touches and have somebody elite on the other side. You could get more out of him. Everybody has him in the first round. I don't see a way that's going to happen. I think he'll be lucky to go before the 50th pick in this class. And really the only spot that makes sense is the Dallas Cowboys.
44th overall, Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri, going to the Dallas Cowboys. You're in the Sportsocracy. This is ESPN Asheville. When we come back from the break, we will have the Indianapolis Colts on the clock.
The Sportsocracy.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
It is ESPN Asheville, the Sportsocracy, coming to you from the Ingles studio in the NFLDraft.net Mullet Manor. Not live today. It is pre-recorded as we are on our way up to Green Bay, Wisconsin for the 2025 NFL Draft. We will have live coverage for you on ESPN Asheville on Thursday and Friday, 12 to 3 from the Lake House at Sturgeon Bay. Jeremy Greene, it is the final mock draft, day 2, rounds 2 and 3. The next pick is the Indianapolis Colts. It's 45 overall. The 13th pick in the second round. Where do they go?
Carson Schlesinger, linebacker out of UCLA. I love the fit in Indianapolis. I am scared to death he ends up with a 3-4 team because I just don't see it. Now, I do like the fit here because Indianapolis needs a linebacker badly. PFF comped him to Peyton Wilson. I don't think that's a terrible comp. He is a little
Is he
light.
that athletic?
He's athletic, and he plays like his hair's on fire. But I like him as a 4-3 outside linebacker, not as a 3-4 inside linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And originally in the process, that's where I thought he was going to go. And I think he's too small for that. He just gets flooded out. But in Indianapolis, I think he's a really nice replacement to E.J. Speed.
Okay. The 14th pick is the Atlanta Falcons. They took Shamar Stewart in the first round.
Braden Swinson, pass rusher out of LSU. This kid really only does one thing right now, but he will give you an absolute pop as a pass rusher. Wound up with longer arms than I thought. Watching him on tape, I never really thought he was going to be one of those guys that measured crazy well, but he did. And then you watch his film, he wins against the pass. He is almost irrelevant against the run. That's another one that I like, the Sycamore comp on Malcolm Kuntz to Braden Swinson. I think that one's pretty accurate. The difference is I'm not sure he could play with his hand down, but he might be able to.
All right, so he plays on the outside of the 3-4.
Yes, he would be behind Shamar Stewart, and now you have Swinson and Stewart coming from one side, and good luck. Hope you got two really athletic guys on the left side of that line.
If you don't, you're going to get Michael Penix Jr. killed. Or he'll just run for his life, and, hey, that's a turnover waiting to happen. 47 overall, the Arizona Cardinals.
Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State.
All right, another defensive player after they went with Walter Nolan, the defensive lineman out of Mississippi in the first round.
I love this kid so much. Started as a wide receiver at Iowa State. He's almost 6'4". Well, that's not true. He's 6'0", but he was listed at 6'4". Really long-armed. I think he can be an elite corner in this league. He's still figuring out how good he can be, and he was pretty good last year. Really, really quick. Not a great tackler, but that I think a lot of that comes from he was a receiver, so he's still figuring this out. He was a kind of a one-year wonder because he really only played that 1 year, and he is a bit of an older prospect. But I think he can come in and play right away, especially if you have another corner that you trust on the other side. I'm curious to see Red C's reaction to that one.
Oh, is he upset?
He wanted a pass rusher. Honestly, Swinson would have gone to you at that selection, but the Falcons took him right in front of you.
So you panicked?
No, I didn't panic. After at 46, I would have gone. There's two guys here. I feel good, so I'm just fine sitting right here.
Right.
I love Porter.
Okay.
I know not everybody does because he is a little raw, but
Darian Porter, the pick, cornerback out of Iowa State.
Now
Arizona Cardinals.
I will say this, Cardinal fans, if you watch the panic-driven corners that are about to come off the board, I think you're going to feel better that you were at the high side of that than on the back side of it.
At 48, it's the Miami Dolphins. They already got a corner, so they're not going to take another one here.
Yeah,
they
but
went with they went with Jahdae Barron in the first round. Now what?
I'm not done with the secondary, though. Kevin Winston Jr., safety out of Penn State. This kid only played one game last year. Another one that, had it not been for injury, he would have been a first-round pick. I think he's the last safety that you can feel really, really good about. He's a freak athlete. The medical was a big deal on him, and over the course of time, I've gotten to a point where I feel pretty solid about it. And he can play all over the place. He was a good run defender at Penn State. Just not the ball hawk you would want. Now, the funny thing is that you would be replacing Javon Holland, who last year was also not the ball hawk that you would have wanted him to be.
Mm-hmm. But he had his moments.
For sure. They're very similar players. He's just a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm. The Cincinnati Bengals are up next with the 17th pick in the second round.
They call him Bull Rush McIntyre. His name is T.J. Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Bengal fans, I told you, I'm not done with this defense. I still got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
I love T.J. Sanders. He's in my top 30 overall. I don't know where this fall is coming. But I've been told this now a few times in the last few weeks of be careful. Because I had T.J. Sanders back in 1. And I keep getting told you might be too high. And I don't understand why. You're getting almost a 13% pass rush win rate from a defensive tackle. He had a 90.3 pass rush grade out of a true pass set last year. I just don't get it. What is it I'm supposed to not like here? Oh, he doesn't handle double teams well because he's not a gigantic defensive tackle. What do I care? He's too aggressive. I'm bringing him to be a pass rusher. I don't get it. This is one of those guys that I constantly see defensive tackles go in front of him that don't make any sense to me. Like Darius Alexander. Darius Alexander is 46 years old. I mean, I get it. The tape's fine. He was playing with children in the MAC. TJ Sanders did this in the SEC. Oh, you had a lot of talent around him. And so did they. Have you looked at that Ole Miss roster lately? My God, day 2 is brought to you by Lane Kiffin.
and apparently Shane Beamer.
Yeah, they got a lot too.
They got
a lot of dudes that are going to go here.
They do. TJ Sanders, the second South Carolina Gamecock to go to the Cincinnati Bengals after they took Nick Eamon-Worry in the first round. TJ Sanders now added to the pass rush. The 18th pick in the second round, 50 overall, Seattle Seahawks.
So Seattle's got 2 picks in 3. This is where I have to play the game of which guy do I have to take to keep him away from Denver behind me. So I go Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU.
It's a good call.
Look, Seattle's needed a tight end, I think, my entire life. Even when they invested in tight end, they still somehow needed a tight end. And Mason Taylor, look, there's been first-round buzz. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's because the tight ends that they invested in, they gave $10 million to 48-year-old Greg Olson one time. And then they gave another $10 million to, what's that guy's name? Will Dissly.
Oh, yeah, Will Dissly's still on the roster.
He got like $8 million or something on the last deal.
I like Taylor. The tape left me wanting more because they used him in the weirdest way. And after watching him at the Senior Bowl and the Combine, I think this is a Brian Kelly problem, not a Mason Taylor problem. 75% of his catches were within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. That is one of the most unbelievably stupid stats I think I've ever heard. This kid should be a red zone monster, and I walked away from his tape going, why isn't he? I think it was Brian Kelly. I don't think it was Mason Taylor. I like this kid. I like him more and more after watching him at the Senior Bowl. He was awesome in Mobile. And I think he is that third tight end to come off the board. And that's going to lead to a handful more coming off within the next 25 or 30 picks.
Mm-hmm. Number 51 overall, the Denver Broncos, following up their selection of Omarion Hampton in the first round, here with a pick, again at number 51.
I love this fit for this kid. I've been kind of hard on him through the process, but I would love the idea of him playing on the opposite side of Pat Surtain II. It's Azareye'h Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State. He's raw. And when I say raw, I mean raw. He's also one of like 6 prospects in this class that can't legally drink in a bar if they have his draft party at a bar. Bulldog in press, but is really good in zone principles too. And I think the way that Denver would use him as the 2, he could be the more physical of the 2. And I love it. You know, he's proof positive that I don't have to love a prospect to love a fit. Because I have Azareye'h Thomas at the top 3. But corner is about to get gross in a hurry. And I get in front of it with a guy that actually fits my scheme. There's not a lot of guys that physically can play man in this class. Azareye'h does it pretty well. You're gonna have to give him some time.
20th pick in the second round, 52 overall. Seattle Seahawks back on the clock with their second pick in 3.
This would be probably a little early to some, but it's not to me. It's Jared Wilson, center out of Georgia.
I was not expected to hear that name in at least this high in the second round.
Upside. You're almost to the end of the second round.
That's true.
He's 4 spots behind Azarie Thomas on my big board. So it's not that bad. And you look at how scarce center is. Look, Jared Wilson made it very clear. He's the best center in this class, and it's not close.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get behind that, and it is Gnarls Barkley. And the word I keep hearing with Jared Wilson is the upside. No, you didn't see it for all that long. You got to understand, and I had not thought of what I'm getting ready to say. You realize this kid's why Clay Webb transferred, right?
Yes.
As big as huge of a proponent as I am of Clay Webb, Jared Wilson was the one that was keeping him from playing, and I love him. He's my number 2 center in his class. He transferred because of Jared Wilson, because I don't know if somebody told him this. I don't know. He didn't think he could beat Jared Wilson out.
Yep.
That tells me a lot. He may have only played a year. There's a lot of good in that kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he moves in a way that you don't often see from an interior offensive lineman.
Well, I mean, we know that Seattle likes to run the ball, have historically liked to run the ball. And they got a pair of running backs that they have invested draft capital in pretty high. Jared Wilson's going to help you run the ball. You're not going to have much. You won't have much of a problem running up the middle. The 53rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft belongs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, so what have you worked up for me here? We got Malachi Starks in the first round, which really sent me over the top. Let's see if number 2 will do the same.
Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker, South Carolina.
Well, I'll just be fine with that.
Oh, wait till you see who the third one is.
Linebacker action?
Yeah, wait till you see who your next pick is. Because you have another one at 84. You may call Jason Light and just go, there's this mulleted idiot that you should probably listen to because it's pretty good. Okay.
I'm training for the 500 as we speak.
Look, Demetrius Knight is, I think, an elite run defender, holds up in coverage, can rush the passer, had one of the better average depths of tackle in of any linebacker in this class. I think he's an elite athlete. You know I love this kid. I heard him compared to Bobby Okereke the other day, and that was enough for me to go, oh, yeah, I may even be low on him.
That's a good one. I like that comp.
He can get a little crazy and aggressive at certain times, but that's why you have Levante David next to him.
Mm-hmm. Next up, it's the other Bay, the Green Bay, the hometown team for the draft. 54 overall, Green Bay Packers select.
Hey, Arizona fans, you remember when I told you that corner was about to get goofy and you were going to be glad that you got in front of it? Mm-hmm. Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. I like this kid, but it's high. For sure it's high. But if you're Green Bay, especially if you're planning on coming off Jair Alexander, you got to do something. You missed the run because the run happened in between you. Now you're in the middle of it. If you wait now, you are LMNO screwed because there's not another corner that belongs here. I mean, if you want to get cute with Benjamin Morrison because that's top 15 tape, but you got to worry about the injury, you could do that. And I wouldn't blame you if you did. But I think Dorian Strong fits better what you do. Is he a great run defender? Nope, he is not. He is not a great run defender. But I think he would fit into what Hafley's doing, and I'm not going to lie to you. I would borderline be scared to death to wait. Because with the run that we're in the midst of, wait do you get to what that corner room looks like at about 100?
The 23rd overall pick in the first round by Green Bay was Donovan Ezeruaku from Boston College. And now Dorian Strong, the cornerback out of Virginia Tech. 23rd pick in the second round. That's the Los Angeles Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. Do we have any Michigan players here?
We don't, but I do have a Jim Harbaugh lunch pail. Just come get after it. It's Landon Jackson, the 5-tech from Arkansas.
Okay.
Really good run defender. I don't know that he's ever going to be a great pass defender, and he has an injury. Landon Jackson's got an injury history that is absolutely mortifying. But he was good last year. He showed what a freak athlete he is. He's got a really funny story. His parents met at McNeese State. They were both basketball players. His dad's 6'11", played basketball in Europe for like 10 years. I like this kid, but I like him in very specific spots. I don't want him playing out wide. I don't think he's twitchy enough to play out wide. I want him as a 5-tech.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that Logan Paulson and I have talked about a lot as well. He loves Landon Jackson. And if you're trying to stop the run, that's a great way to do it. The 5-techs for the Chargers make my head hurt. I look at every time I pull up their all 22, I look at that and go, I swear to God, if they don't take a 5-tech in the first 2 days of this draft, I'm going to yell a lot.
Landon Jackson, the selection for the Los Angeles Chargers, the edge rusher out of Arkansas. He comes, he's the second pick that they had first round. They got Tet McMillan, fell into their laps. I'd say it's a pretty good start to the draft.
It's a pretty sweet
for those
start.
Two. Absolutely, it is. You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. We're rocking and rolling through the second round of day 2 of the Sportsocracy final mock draft. We'll continue after the top of the hour.
Live from the Ingalls studio,
I can't wait to play with myself every day.
the Sportsocracy.
Damn the devil to hell! Let the big dog see! Let him on the field!
Come get you some of this.
Them cannons. By golly, put more powder in those things.
He couldn't take any more disappointment.
Oh, my God. The Jets killed him.
It is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, 1400. The Sportsocracy is heard everywhere you go. On the iHeartRadio app, seen everywhere on YouTube. Go to thesportsocracy.com, click that live video link, subscribe to the channel so you can join us in the chat, and you can follow along on all of the draft week coverage here in the Sportsocracy. It is day 2 of the final Sportsocracy mock draft before the actual draft coming up on Thursday in Green Bay. This is a pre-recorded segment or a pre-recorded show. Just so you know, we're on the road right now on the Ingalls Living the Dream tour, heading our way up to Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, to the Lake House. It's going to be a fantastic trip, and we cannot thank our partners enough for helping us make the trip happen. Ingalls Supermarkets, low prices, love the savings. Parks Ford of Hendersonville, and Clarissa sells WNC.com along with Bears Smokehouse Barbecue. Jeremy Greene coming to us from the NFLDraft.net. Mullet Manor, his final mock draft, the one that will be entered into the National Analyst Contest. How close did you get last year?
That's a good question you have there.
Don't remember? It was that good, huh? Don't remember.
I don't remember. Let's see. Scores. Last year, I finished 29th out of 172.
There you go. That's pretty good.
My 2-year average, I've only been in it for 2 years. So my 2-year average of first-round score is 41, which would be 29th of a lot.
So a top 30 NFL forecaster here in the Sportsocracy.
Oh, I'm going to do better this year. I'm winning this thing this year. I'm calling my shot. I'm winning this thing this year.
Nice.
Yeah, last year 59 won it, and 59 beat the bejeebers out of all of us. I'm winning this thing this year. Last year, Jason Boris of the Times News had 15. So you got to get the team to the player and the player. So there's 32 possible points for. I think it's 32 for the player. So you can get 32 points for getting 32 players right. The highest anybody got last year was 30. And then you get double points for team and position. And
So you get a point if you had the player in the first round.
yes.
Okay.
So you're trying to get the right 32 players, and if you can get them to the right teams, all the better. That's where Boris killed us last year. Is he had 15 guys to the right team, and so we wound up with double points. And nobody else got more than 12. He got 15 of them, and there were only 3 that got 12.
That's a pretty high. That's a pretty high hit rate with as big of a crapshoot as the NFL draft is. Getting 15 guys matched up with the right team. That's pretty impressive. We have worked our way up to number 56 overall in the 2025 final NFL mock draft here in the Sportsocracy. The Buffalo Bills have that pick. The 24th selection of the second round. In the first round, they got Trey Amos, the cornerback out of Ole Miss. Let's see what they add.
Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. I don't know where to put him. So if you're watching
on this team or in the draft?
In the draft. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the PFF big board that has Omar Norman Lott as the number 27 player overall. I love his tape. I think he comes in as, he had a 19% pass rush win rate as a defensive tackle. That's unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 2 big buts with him and neither one of them is his. He's not that big of a guy. The thing that makes me nervous about him is he played a ridiculously low number of snaps because, Tennessee cycles in defensive linemen. I think it's one of the things that's burning James Pierce, too. The other thing that scares me is they found a knee issue with him that could be chronic. And at 315 pounds, I really don't want you having knee issues this early. And so I could see him falling. You always say it only takes one. And you're right, it only takes one team. I love the fit of him and Ed Oliver.
Yep.
Him, Ed Oliver, Bosa, and Russo. That's a 4-man front that will get home and get home a lot.
When you can create pressure with 4, we have found that is the Achilles heel of who?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. Right. If you can get home with 4, you are going to just play games with Patrick Mahomes and that offense and that offensive line. I can't say I disagree here. I've in my process of going through mock drafts at the end of the first round, I have always slotted in that big run stuffing big clogger with the Buffalo Bills. This is a little bit of a different angle, and I like it. Number 25 in the second round, that is the Carolina Panthers. And a selection that they got from the Los Angeles Rams. First round pick was Jalon Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. Where do they go now?
All right, I'm going to have to explain this selection. Okay. It's always bad when I have to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a list, and I want to see if you can tell me what these guys have in common. Ollie Gordon II, Travion Henderson, Jarquez Hunter, there are more, Caleb Johnson, R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens, Devin Neal, Jaden Blue. What do all of the guys I just said have in common?
They're all running backs.
They're all that's half of it. They're all running backs that have had some kind of contact with the Carolina Panthers. All three of the top three had top 30 visits with them. At 57,
Yep.
I'm going Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State.
Okay. Dave Canales getting a running back for the future. They just picked up Rico Dowdle from the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't think Rico
he's a
means
free
anything.
agent. Rico, what do you mean he doesn't?
I don't think he means anything. He had no market.
Okay.
I kept leaning into that going, why are they talking to all these running backs? Rico had no market.
No, that's why they got him cheap.
They got him cheap, and they only got him
He's
for
a
a
body.
year.
Right, he's a body. Chuba Hubbard hasn't been what, Matt Rule's wife wanted him to be. He's been okay.
And they paid him.
What he had 1,000-yard season last year, was it?
Oh, he was
Was it last year he had 1,000
year.
yards?
He was up high last year. Oh, nope, don't do that way. Don't do that.
1,195 yards last year.
They want to run. I think they've mentally tapped out on Jonathan Brooks. That's been the impression that I've gotten, is that they feel like they set a second-round pick on fire with Jonathan Brooks.
Well, I mean, every time you've tried so far to bring him in, it's been setback after setback. And at some point you have to because Dave Canales, that scheme predicates on we have to be able to run the ball. And you saw them do it last year. I mean, again, Chuba Hubbard had over 1,100 yards last year. It's not like he's just trash. He may not be what you want him to be.
I think he's the third
feature
running back
in the NFL.
I think he's the third running back. What it looks like to me is that Carolina wants a running back that they can play on third down, and they're going to alternate, maybe not alternate series, but 2-to-1 alternate Rico and Chuba on first and second down. Now, in the YouTube chat, I saw Bob Brown and Beach both say Caleb Johnson. I would agree with you. I have Caleb Johnson ahead of Travion Henderson. Carolina doesn't. So they met with Caleb Johnson at the Combine. They did not have him in for a top 30 visit. I think what Carolina's looking for is the better pass protector and the better pass catcher, and that would be Travion Henderson. I have Caleb Johnson ahead of him. I just wanted to state that for the record.
What about Travion?
Yes. But Travion is a better pass catcher. He's a better pass blocker.
Oh, I'm losing your signal there, Jeremy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, all right. You keep your signal keeps breaking up on me. We may need you to
not my
reconnect.
signal there, Bubba. I'm running at 15,000 kilobytes right now. If you're losing my signal, it's you, not me.
No, I mean you're not. That's what I'm saying. Your connection with the brick is not great. You may want to reconnect it.
Okay.
Let me see here.
It's reconnected.
All right.
I do that every hour, so that never should really be a problem.
All right. Hang on here. The radio crew's going to have no idea what you just said about Travion Henderson, so I'm going to have to go back and cut that again.
Okay.
Hang on just a second. Pardon me. Pause just for a second. Talk amongst yourselves.
Travion Henderson's the better pass blocking running back. He's also the better pass catching running back. And that seems to be, just reading the tea leaves of who they've talked to, they obviously want another running back. It's just a question of what kind. And having Travion in for the top 30 makes me think that is where they would lean, as opposed to Caleb Johnson.
All right, Travion Henderson to the Carolina Panthers with the 25th pick in the second round. That brings us to number 58, Houston Texans up next.
So Houston got Matthew Golden with the move around. I still need a piece on the offensive line. This one's going to shock some people that he goes so high, and it's also Sarah, I believe is her name, loves telling me that they don't take players from small schools. I'm about to debunk that because they're in love with the kid I'm about to say. It's Charles Grant, offensive tackle from William and Mary. I forgot a word.
William and Mary. Yes, yes.
He is, according to my sources, or as we used to say it, a little birdie has told me, Charles Grant is so popular around the NFL, don't be shocked if he winds up in the top 50. So here at 58, a team that has had him in the building and done literally everything short of buy him a new car, I think Houston's in. And I'll tell you why I think they're in. He's malleable. I don't think he has to move to guard. I think he holds up as a tackle. But it appears that he has passed Anthony Belton, Ariante Urshary. There were a handful of other names that I had gone down the rabbit hole. Basically, just because I was trying to place where different guys could go. And Grant was the one that seemingly overwhelmingly was, you're too low. Like, you're higher on him than a lot of guys in the media. You're too low on how we feel about him.
Talk about loading up on talent here for the Houston Texans. First round getting Matthew Golden, and then adding, as you said, that malleable piece in Charles Grant that can, well, fill in wherever they need him to. He won't be an immediate starter.
Grant?
With this team, right? Yeah.
I think he should be because I like him markedly. Blake Fisher was an absolute turnstile last year. That was the kid they took in the second round last year out of Notre Dame that if you remember, I laughed. You just can't help yourself, can you? Nick Caserio falls in love with these guys, and then it's just the board be damned. I'll take them where I want to take them. Look, Blake Fisher's not a good tackle. I didn't project him as a good tackle. He did not play as a good tackle last year. I think Grant would start right away. Grant is 2 solid years ahead of Blake Fisher right now, and he just finished his rookie year in the NFL.
Okay.
I don't think he's very good. And so, I mean, you keep banging your head against the wall all you want to. I don't think you're going to like how it goes.
All right, next pick. That is the Baltimore Ravens. It is the 59th overall selection. First round, they went with the tackle, Josh Simmons, out of Ohio State. Are they getting an edge rusher here?
They are. Princely Amunmalayan, edge rusher out of Ole Miss.
There. And that's a good one. This is one that this guy had some first-round buzz at one point in all of this. What happened?
Well, the 40 time was slow, and the 10-yard splits were fine. But I don't really know that he's ever going to be a 3-down guy. I think he really profiles better as a situational pass rusher, or at the very least, part of a rotation, which is what he would be with Baltimore. That's the reason, and I know Red Sea likes him in the middle of the second round to Arizona. I don't necessarily hate that. I just think it's a little high. If he's not going to hold up against the run, and basically the thought is that he held up against the run because he actually had a pretty high run stop rate at Ole Miss. But the thought was he held up against the run because he had Nolan on the inside of him. And I mean, I can't tell you you're wrong. I mean, because look, this is a thin guy that just put up a really slow 40 time. I love the tape because I think he can see quarterback, kill quarterback in the NFL, and that's really what I need him to do. I'm thinking he's more of a back of 2 than middle of 2. And then you get the fit with Baltimore of, hey, which one of these guys would make me yell obscenities? Princely Amunmalayan.
All right, Prince Uma going to the Baltimore Ravens. Then, at 60, the Detroit Lions.
You don't talk to a human that has anything to do with the Detroit Lions that doesn't say this kid's name. It's Josiah Stewart, edge rusher, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Is he undersized? Yes. Yes, he is. Do I care? Nope. Not even a little bit. People talk about him having to play 3-4. I'm going to tell you, I agree with Trevor Sikkema on this. I think he can play linebacker. I think he can be a move piece that just kills quarterbacks. I don't know that I've ever seen a kid this small, and he is super small. I don't think I've ever seen one that holds up against the run as well as he does. And then you add in the fact he had almost a 28% pass rush win rate. You put that on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, with the 42 defensive tackles that you already have. I love this kid. I do. I love this kid, and I've loved this kid for a minute.
Yep. Josiah Stewart to the Detroit Lions at pick 60. We'll take a quick break here in the Sportsocracy. ESPN Asheville. It is day 2 of the final Sportsocracy mock draft. We got 4 more picks left in the second round. We'll hit them after this.
The Sportsocracy.
Let's open up the whole can and kick ass and kill them all. Let the paramedics sort them out.
It is ESPN Asheville. This is the Sportsocracy, your home for NFL draft coverage 2025. The final Sportsocracy mock draft before the big day hits.
It's the final
coming up.
mock draft. Doo-doo-doo.
And Jeremy got sued.
I only did one word that they had a different word there. It's fine.
Just don't try to sell it. That's the only thing. That's the line. That's the line that you can't cross. We got 4 more picks left here in the second round of the Sportsocracy mock draft. We will give you the entire third round as well, second half of the program here, as we count down the minutes to the next time that we are live with you on Thursday here on ESPN Asheville from the Lake House up in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. 61st pick overall in the 2025 NFL Draft. It is your buddies, the Washington Commanders, Jeremy.
Benjamin Morrison, cornerback, Notre Dame. I
Now,
waited
why
until I
did they
couldn't wait
take
anymore.
the risk? Yeah. Why do they take the risk when nobody else would?
Because they're one of the few teams that can. So I've had a lot of back and forth about Mikey Sainristil, that they took him to play out of the slot. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Then why do they sign Jonathan Jones? Jonathan Jones plays exclusively out of the slot. So I think in this scenario, your best case would be that Benjamin takes over the 2, Mikey slides into the slot, and then you have Marshawn Lattimore on the opposite side. But if Morrison's not ready for week 1, whatever the case may be, you can still play Sanders still on the opposite side, and then just ease him back in. Most teams, if they're taking a corner in the second round, they can't afford to wait. Washington's offense is so good, and they are so good, to be frank. I can be patient. I can be patient for a player that I had in my top 15 that, yeah, he's got some med issues. And I hate to say it, this ain't the first one. But, man, if he can get over that, he's such a dog. And he's scheme versatile. He can do practically anything. He's smart as hell. He's everything I want in a corner. I mean, I told you this routinely. He was in my top half of the first mock draft I did. And then it came out how bad the hip injury actually had been. And that pushed him down. I can't let him fall any further. If I'm Washington, I know there's no chance he's coming back to me. And I said that.
Lots of talent.
I said this the first time I did a mock for Washington. When you're this good, the reason that Philadelphia is as good as they are is because they are allowed to take risk that not everybody else is.
The depth of this class really comes to shine when you get to this part of the draft. And you go, man, there are still some real impact players that are available in this turn of the second, third round here.
No doubt.
Benjamin Morris, the cornerback out of Notre Dame, if he can develop into what we hoped he would be, it's an absolute home run pick for the Washington Commanders, much as their entire offseason has been. It's pretty much since Josh Harris took over, this thing has gone very, very well. 62nd overall pick, the Buffalo Bills, back on the clock.
I go back
they
to
took Omar Norman Lott last time.
I go back to the secondary after I added Trey Amos. Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame.
Finally turning the page on that aged secondary.
I love Watts. Look, this is a kid that came to Notre Dame as a wide receiver, and it shows because he's got great hands. Needs to be a better tackler. That's a no-doubter. But, you watch Notre Dame on tape, and trust me, you see number 0 a lot. It doesn't take you long to go, hey, I bet that's the guy that gets drafted of all the Notre Dame defensive players. I bet he gets drafted first because he is everywhere on the field.
The 63rd overall pick, Kansas City Chiefs.
I was really conflicted as to which offensive lineman to take here. And then it finally came down to 2 for me. It was either going to be Ariante Urshary or it was going to be Anthony Belton. Where I finally got to was which is more important, how good you are or how good you are right now. And I settled on how good you can be. It's Ariante Urshary, offensive tackle out of Minnesota. This dude is a house. An absolute house. And here's where my brain got to with it. I don't need you to play right now because I already have my plan for it's going to be Jawan Taylor to start with. I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little crazy when I say it, but I really mean it. If I'm a Chief fan, I worry more about Jawan Taylor than I do about Jalen Moore. And here's why I say that. If Jalen Moore doesn't work on the left side, and I take somebody like Urshary, I fully believe Urshary can play on the left side in the NFL. I can just slide Jalen Moore over to the right side. Because you can get out of this Jawan Taylor thing at the end of this year. And then you don't have to worry about him jumping off sides 84,000 times a year. You don't have to worry about him being a liability in the run game. You slide Urshary to the left, put Jalen Moore on the right. The alternative is that is that Jalen Moore does work, and Urshary ultimately replaces Taylor. I also think there's a possibility he could play guard in the right scheme. I just don't think you're going to need him to.
So Ariante Urshary is the future tackle.
He is a future tackle on this team somewhere.
Right. Don't know. Right.
He is a BDD. That is a big damn dude.
Most definitely. And the final selection of the second round, Philadelphia Eagles, 64 overall.
Philadelphia says, I see your offensive lineman, Super Bowl adversary, and I raise you one that I love a lot, and they do too. Marcus Bowe, offensive tackle, and I think for Philadelphia he would play guard. I saw Bob Brown say this earlier, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't remember now who he was talking about. It might have been Connerly, that he could, whoever it was, could slide in at guard and then ultimately replace Lane Johnson. So can Marcus Bowe. I love the tape on this kid. Now, the negative on him is that he is super thin. But he's one of the strongest guys in this class, even as thin as he is. What do you think is going to happen when you get him through an NFL strength and conditioning program and you really lean him out. You really bulk him up and lean him out. I love it. If you're looking for somebody who can block for the run, Marcus Bowe might be the best run blocker in this class.
Yep.
He's got a mean streak that I don't see from guys this small, hardly ever. Is he a finished product? No. That's why you can get him at the end of the second round. But I wish there was a way that I could go to a book and bet Marcus Bowe to either be a Philadelphia Eagle or a Detroit Lion, because I think I would put my 401k on it.
Only if you could have either or.
Yes, I need both.
I don't know if I'd put
because
both.
I don't
Right,
trust Detroit not to snipe him if they don't take Gray Zabel in the first round.
Precisely. So Bowe would be the eventual replacement to Lane Johnson on the right. Correct.
I think ultimately, yes. By the way, that Bob Brown said he likes Donovan Jackson. That's the reason I don't like Donovan Jackson, is because I don't think he can play tackle. For me, Donovan Jackson's a guard, period, in the NFL, with no ceiling whatsoever. But if I need a guard right now, which there is a team in this league that needs one of those, then I would be fine with him in round 3.
Yep. This way you get more flexibility with the pick, and you can play that offensive line much like you've been playing the defense.
Correct.
I just got so many guys that it doesn't matter, and I won't end up in a situation like the Kansas City Chiefs did with I had an injury and my line went to complete, and the Philadelphia Eagles frog stomped me in the Super Bowl. It's a safeguard against that. Philadelphia Eagles with formerly known as Marcus Bowe, the guard out of Purdue, final pick of the second round. It is the final mock draft of the Draftmas season here in the Sportsocracy. We got one more round to go. We'll kick off the third after this.
The Sportsocracy.
One thing that you're going to have to remember, one most important factor, is to protect your quarterback, me.
It is ESPN Asheville, the Sportsocracy, coming to you on a Tuesday of NFL Draft Week. It is almost here, Jeremy. You can feel it in the air, can't you?
I am shocked we got to the end. I honestly was starting to feel like Sisyphus having to push the is it Sisyphus? Is he the one that has to push the rock up the hill?
Maybe.
One of them has to push a rock up the hill, and then he falls asleep from exertion, and the rock runs over him. I felt that way from about January the 26th until this morning. So,
no, Icarus had the wings, right? He had
Icarus flew too close to the sun.
Flew too close, yeah.
And then there was the one that diddled his mom. That was
Oedipus.
Oedipus, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't want to have an Oedipus complex. That's weird.
No, it's very, very weird. Third round of the NFL draft is upon us, or the NFL mock draft, the final one of the Draftmas season. Number 65 overall, Pittsburgh Steelers, a trade from the New York Giants, have this pick. So, Jeremy, where do they go?
Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa.
Yep, there's the runner they were looking for. You know it's going to come at some point. I think they've met with every running back.
All of them. They met with running backs that actually died. They've been at the NFL cemetery meeting with running backs that died several years ago, just to make sure that they get the right one. And I'll be for what Pittsburgh does. I love the idea of Caleb Johnson behind this line. Look, I know not everybody loves him. I know not everybody thinks he's going to be. Keep that to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you see things and you just go, that makes me angry, and I don't like that. I think Caleb Johnson in an offense like what you're going to get out of Pittsburgh is everything they want and more. Now, you are still going to have Jalen Warren. You're still going to have Kenny Gainwell that are doing things. I think those two can make up for some deficiencies in Caleb Johnson's game, and he just becomes a first and second down between the tackles guy. And he goes from one black and gold team to another. Or black and yellow.
60,
whatever.
Yeah. 66 overall. Kansas City Chiefs. And they picked up from the Tennessee Titans.
I'm really curious to see the response here because I saw somebody earlier that's a Chiefs fan that said they really wanted an offensive lineman and then a weapon. And I got you an offensive lineman and a weapon. They were happy with the offensive lineman being Ariante Urshary. Now I'm curious to see if they are happy with the weapon, Dylan Sampson, running back out of Tennessee. I am starting to sour on Isaiah Pacheco. And I will tell you why. He can't really do much. Isaiah Pacheco is like a glorified version of Chuba Hubbard. And you know how I feel about Chuba. Isaiah Pacheco runs between the tackles and doesn't do squat else. Dylan Sampson can do pretty much everything. And I know it. I'm not even looking at the chat. I know the comparison to Clyde Edwards-Helaire is coming because they were both shorter running backs. Dylan Sampson's got way more pop. And when I say way more, I mean exponentially more. I don't know where the fumble issue started last year. He was like the surest-handed running back in the class, and they fumbled like 5 times in 6 games. I love this kid. Love him. And would love him in Kansas City. And I've said the entire time, I want a running back in Kansas City with one of those first 3 picks.
Beach apparently likes it. Says he likes the fit there. Slam and Sammy said they figured they would wait until 95.
So I
pick a running back.
I wouldn't be mad if you did. I genuinely think. I think there's such a difference between Dylan Sampson and what you get at the end in terms of being able to do a little bit of everything. That it's almost hard for me to wrap my head around waiting that long. But it definitely could happen.
All right, Caleb Johnson, Dylan Sampson. We got a little run on running backs coming here. The Cleveland Browns up next with the 3rd pick in the 3rd.
We're to that point where, Cleveland, oops, I did that thing where I had to trade up for a quarterback, so I kind of missed a window. It's Cam Scatterbo, running back out of Arizona State. If you don't take a running back here, you're not getting one. At least not one that's going to start and be the legitimate head of the snake.
Mm-hmm.
So I take Scatterbo here, knowing pretty full well he's going to get a lot of carries in this first year. I think he's a really well-rounded back. Had he played at Arizona State for 3 years instead of just the final one, there's a possibility he would have gone higher than this. The Kyron Williams comp is, I'm not going to lie to you, it's messing with me. Because you remember I really liked Kyron Williams. Then he ran slow, and basically he just died to me the minute that the 40 time came out.
Yes.
And now I regret that
happened?
Because I was super high on him, and then I wasn't.
Right.
Scatterbo's kind of falling in the same tier. They're very similar running backs.
So what is the deal with Nick Chubb?
He's been hurt 43 times in the last 2 years.
I get that. I get that. I'm not seeing him like I'm pulling up depth charts and he's not even on them. Is he hurt again? Did he miss something? Did I miss a meeting with Nick Chubb?
He's free agent.
Oh, he's a free agent. Okay,
yeah, you won't find him on the roster because he's not on the roster.
Contract. I didn't realize he wasn't under contract right now. All right. So Cameron Scatterbo, you think, is the every down back for the Browns?
I believe he would be in this. Look, running back's really good. You're going to get players up and down the line. The question is, what do you need? And I feel like Cleveland's got to have a guy that can be legit the one, and Scatterbo's really the last one there.
Right. The Las Vegas Raiders up next, 68 overall.
I need a weapon.
They went.
I held out, and I got one. Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State. You were
What
about
is he
to say
doing
something.
No. I was not going to say that. I mean,
Well, you keep talking after you hit the button, which is not how the button works. It's NFL Network hits the button, and the next person to speak is the one announcing the pick. So,
what about Jaden Higgins?
Higgins is just one of those guys. He's a big slot, but he's a really athletic big slot. Where things get a little dicey for me, he does not do squat after the catch. Like, it is shocking how little he does after the catch. And can he play on the outside? His route tree is really good, and I'll be honest with you, I think he's an excellent route runner. But why did he not separate more in the time he played on the outside? Why did he not separate more in college? That bothers me. And it seemed like a lot of his biggest plays came out of the slot.
Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. The New England Patriots picking at 69.
I'm sure New England thinks, hey, is this Jet fan ever going to give us anybody that's not an offensive lineman? Yes, it is time for that. And I started hearing this, 2 weeks ago. And now I can't stop doing it because this guy's jumped up the board. It's Kyle Williams, wide receiver out of Washington State. I think he's so slick, just as a route runner. I was afraid that he wasn't going to run well. I told Kent Briggs and Bill Workman this at the Senior Bowl. Watching him run, I said, I don't think he's that fast. Then he came to the combine and ran a 4.44. And, that changes things just a skoosh. And it takes him out of exclusively a slot because I thought that at a time. Now I don't know. I look at what New England does. I think you can move him around and it can work out. And I love the fit with New England. Tank, you've done enough of these with me. You know, sometimes I fall into this rut of I get a player with a team and then I can't get it out of my head. It just depends on which selection's it going to be. I think it's Kyle Williams to New England here at 69.
I was going to say, I feel like you did this a couple of years ago with New England and a wide receiver, and I think his name was Kyle too. Kyle Phillips, was that it?
Yeah, Kyle Phillips was a slot from UCLA.
Yeah, I think you kept shoehorning him in with the New England Patriots.
Over
and over and over again.
Your memory blows my mind sometimes.
Sometimes I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but sometimes I can remember the most minute details.
You remember guys class to class better than I do. I have to think about it. Because once the next class takes my breath, like you could ask me the stupidest question about a player that went last year, I probably couldn't answer it. Mm-hmm. Now, as soon as this class is done.
Right. You got to wash so much out of your head to remember 500 dudes.
It's 1,000.
I don't blame you for that.
It's 1,000 next year. We're doing 1,000.
That's insane.
1K players.
Why? That's 5 more times than the players that you need.
No, I got 500 this year, and I'm still looking at day 3 going, I don't know that I'm ready. At least not as much as I should be.
I think you're ready. I think you've covered it. All right, Kyle Williams, Washington State wide receiver to New England Patriots at number 69. Number 70, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I told you there was a receiver run coming, and here she be. Jacksonville Jaguars at 70, Jack Betch, wide receiver, TCU. So Jacksonville has a lot of receivers right now. Like, there's a lot of dudes, and they're all flashy toys. Like, you got De'Ami Brown, and he's really fast, and he can run over the top, and Gabriel Davis has 1 200-yard game a year, and then you got Brian Thomas Jr. that I can actually trust. Here's my question. When you need 7 yards. Who exactly does that for you not named Brian Thomas Jr.? Because if you trust Gabriel Davis, you are a glutton for punishment that I do not understand. So we go get you a big slot that plays on third downs, allows you to put BTJ on the outside. And Jack Betch has some of the strongest hands I've ever seen. I feel like he's opened every mayonnaise jar in his parents' house since he was 4 years old.
Just let me do that, Dad. It's okay.
One of the funniest. Oh yeah, he was the man in his house early. Like, listen, Dad, yeah. I got that. You see these? You see these guns? I got this.
Sit down, Pumpkin.
The comp that I had on Jack Betch is one of the funniest ones I've said in the entire process. If Julian Edelman had rolled around like a dog in a poo puddle into the ooze that turned the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from just turtles into TMNT, that would be Jack Betch.
That was a long way to go.
Yeah. Did it off the top of my head, too, and now I can't unsee it. And now he looks like big boy Julian Edelman to me. He looks like Julian Edelman's kid that got bigger than him and now slaps him back in the head and calls him buddy. It's like, oh, yeah, tell people you don't like that. You do not want this smoke pop.
It's the worst. As somebody who is quickly becoming smaller than his children, it's the worst. 7th pick in the 3rd round, number 71 overall, the New Orleans Saints.
I'm trying my best to get back into the good graces of Saints fans after I relayed a message that they really did not want to hear. And here at 71, you need a run clogger. You're switching into a 3-4, depending on how long it takes. I'm not real sure. This is a real good kick in its keister. Tyleik Williams, nose tackle, Ohio State.
I hate it. I hate it. As a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, I hate this.
You should. You should.
I hate this. I love Tyleik Williams, and I do not want to see him end up with the Aints.
Tyleik Williams is one of those players that he's so beauty's in the eye of the beholder because I think it's going to be hard for him. He's never going to be a good pass rusher. Like, this is not Vita Vea. I made that comp, and then I've watched him, and he's freakishly strong. I don't know that he's ever going to be nimble enough to get into that area of the world, but I know he can be just a house against the run. And you add that to Michael Williams, who I know Saints fans didn't love, it's going to be hard for teams to run on you. Now, you got two very just concrete fixtures of this defense that are going to be hard to run on. And as I said, this is a blip year. You had the best player on the board. It just so has to be the best player on the board that really fits what you're trying to do over the course of time.
Tyleik Williams to the Saints. The 8th pick in the 3rd round, 72 overall, Chicago Bears up again.
Jalen Royals, wide receiver, Utah State. Hey, you need a slot. You need a guy that replaces Keenan Allen? Cool, found you one. Found him. I like Royals a lot. He is a yak god. I don't know that he's ever going to be as... I think 30 teams in the NFL, their fan base really wants them to draft Jalen Royals. I do think he fits into kind of a very specific role. And it helps if I've got two over-the-top just monsters. The Chicago does. If Chicago's got Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. Not every team has that. If you leave this kid in the middle of the field with linebackers and safeties, he's going to eat your lunchbox. And I'm talking sandwich, chips, cookie, and the note from mom is going in your keister. And there's just, not every team can do that. Not every team has those two dynamic weapons on the outside. I love that for Jalen Royals. And I know the Bears are particularly fond of him.
All right, the next pick, it's your New York Jets.
Anthony Belton, offensive tackle, NC State. I had to play a fun, three-way trade of picks as we were coming down the line because I had to think about this and think about it from a real... The Jets need a right tackle right now. They need a guy that plays right this second. And I know they like Ursery. I don't think they're going to like Ursery more than having a receiver because I'm looking at what they have at receiver going, Alan Lazard ain't scaring anybody. Malachi Corley is a slot exclusive, and so is Xavier Gibson. So you got to take the receiver up high, especially because there's not that many X's in this class. Originally, I thought they would take Ursery in the second round, Trey Harris in the third. I went a little too far on his falling, and I had to rearrange. Anthony Belton can play right now. Right this second, right now, at left or right tackle. I don't really care. And people will say, oh, he's not that mobile. He's not. I don't really care because I've got Elijah Vera Tucker on the inside of him. And he is strong as an absolute ox. He was so good at the Senior Bowl. I know you like him a lot.
Mm-hmm. I do. Anthony Belton is just he's a physical beast. Kind of much the way that I thought Icky was when he came out. Now, that hadn't gone the way the Carolina Panther fans really wanted it to, but you're also playing him out of position where he should be. Anthony Belton going to your Jets. I'm gonna like that if he starts earns some playing time here. You can run Breece Hall up his keister.
If the Jets start the draft with Tyler Warren, Trey Harris, Anthony Belton, okay, I'm through talking now. I don't.
Jeremy's done. He's ready to go home.
Yeah, I'm ready to go home. I don't need you to make any more picks because all you're going to do on Saturday is really piss me off.
Yes, screw that thing up. All right, the final pick of the hour here. Let's go number 74, the hometown team, the Carolina Panthers.
Jalen Noel, wide receiver, Iowa State. This is another one of those I've gotten locked into the player with the team because I love the idea of him learning from Adam Thielen. Because Thielen is an outrageously good route runner and really good at a lot of things that he's overcome some of the same things that Jalen Noel's going to have to overcome because, look, he's a smaller guy. Adam Thielen became just an absolute grinder out of the slot position. The other thing I like about Noel is I look at Carolina and go, Liggett is fast. I don't know if he's burner deep threat fast. Thielen is not. Jalen Coker's not. I got to have somebody that can pull that safety. Jalen Noel can pull that safety.
Jalen Carter, I did the same thing you did earlier. Jalen Walker was the first pick, number 8 overall. Then Travion Henderson, the running back out of Ohio State. Now, wide receiver from Iowa State, Jalen Noel. Is it Noel or Noel?
Noel.
I
said Noel. That was one I got corrected on.
You did.
It's Jalen Noel.
Okay. Jalen Noel going to the Carolina Panthers with the 10th pick in the third round, number 74 overall. Take a quick break. When we come back for the top of the hour, we will continue day 2 of the final Sportsocracy mock draft in the run-up to the big day on Thursday. We'll be right back. And clear.
Live from the Ingalls studio,
I can't wait to play with myself every day.
the Sportsocracy.
Damn the devil to hell! Let the big dog see! Let him on the field!
Come get you some of this.
Fire them cannons. By golly, put more powder in those things.
He couldn't take any more disappointment.
Oh my God. The Jets killed him.
It is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400, the Sportsocracy, coming to you from the Ingalls studio, the NFL Draft.net, Mullet Manor. You can see us everywhere on YouTube. Just go to thesportsocracy.com, click that live video link. Subscribe to the channel. That way you can usually join us in the chat when we are live. This is a pre-recorded program here as the Ingles Living the Dream Tour rides on one more time for the season. Our trip up to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and today, or over the next 60 minutes, we have the final of the last mock draft of the Draftmas season. At ESPN Draft Nerd Jeremy Greene, you ain't been doing a lot of trades here lately.
No, I don't do trades outside of the first round. But we do have we are, as we recorded this, we did a live stream, which we are actively doing right now, and we have it's a big one. So hit your Shane O'Mac button.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Long This, which by the way is that's a great name. If I ever start an OnlyFans, that's going to be my name that's underneath the channel. Gifted 10 Sportsocracy memberships. That's the first time I've ever seen their name. They gifted 10 Sportsocracy memberships. So you have set a record after this many years. I wouldn't think there were records still left to set, but you're the real MVP, and you have set one of those yourself, and we appreciate you.
Awesome. 10 more memberships going out to the House of Reprehensibles.
The funny thing is that happened right after I was whining that I hadn't made this a members-only chat, and I was like, well, sometimes you screw things up. Because that was what I meant to do, so it would be new for the people that didn't see it, but it actually worked out better this way.
Yeah. It is the final mock draft of the Draftmas season here. Third round.
Oh, wait.
Where we sit. Yep.
Long This just gifted 50 memberships.
Holy smoke.
That's another record. He's been here for 15 seconds, and he has set 2 records in 15 seconds.
Wow.
That is a real MVP right there.
Let's go. Thank you, Long This, whoever you are.
I don't know who you are, but you are the real MVP. Just making it happen.
Heroes are born every day, and one was born today here in the Sportsocracy.
Well, one was born on his birthday, whatever that birthday was.
It's whatever day that is. We're at pick number 75 in the third round, the 11th pick of the third, the San Francisco 49ers. Up next, Jeremy.
I'm still stuck on Long This. Long This is that's MVP. Hopefully one day an MVP for the San Francisco 49ers is 84-year-old defensive tackle Darius Alexander. I make it sound like I don't like him.
Big old biggin.
I do. I make it sound like I don't like him. I do like him. The only problem is he's going to be 30 years old when he hits free agency. And I think he's the first player I've ever been able to say that about. I'll tell you. Can I tell you a funny stat that I learned about, or a funny fact that I learned about Darius Alexander?
Sure.
Darius Alexander has a son named Messiah, who is 6 years old, that he had his first year at Toledo. He has a kindergartner that was born while he was in college.
COVID years. They come in handy.
He may be the only player in NFL history that could ever say, I had a 6-year-old with me at the draft that was born after I started college.
Possibly so. So now there's another defensive lineman. You bring in Darius Alexander. They already took Mike Greene in the first round. Savon Ravel Jr. in the second.
No, junior. He doesn't go by junior anymore.
Oh, he doesn't?
Yeah,
okay.
He dropped the junior. I don't know where that came from, but now nobody has junior anymore. So either they figured out his dad's name was not Savon, or he said, don't call me junior. I don't know which one.
Okay.
But Darius Alexander's a moose. I love Alexander as a run stuffer. I don't know that he's ever going to be a great pass rusher, and he is an older prospect. But it's a day one starter in San Francisco. You've gotten 3 of those in 3 rounds. That's pretty solid.
That is pretty solid. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat after Long This donated all this. It's Always the giving of people. It never ceases to amaze me. Appreciate you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm trying to. Who's he picking? What are we doing right now?
I don't know, but I love Zach Hurst said I was about to gift 11 of them to set the record, but I definitely not going to do 51 of them.
It is his Dallas Cowboys. It is his Dallas Cowboys
is.
on the clock, though. And with their pick at 76, Jonas Savaiinaea, I believe he would be a guard for the Cowboys out of Arizona. This was the kid I was talking about earlier that I love the idea of putting him with Mimbu. And you've got them on one side, and you just go, you know what? It might be some growing initially, but I've got two big-time movers on that side. Savaiinaea's got some of the best feet for a 330-pound guy I think I've ever seen. He's almost funny to watch run because he looks like a cartoon because nobody that big should move like that. But here's the yeah but of why he's still available in the third round. Whoever selects him needs to put him in the weight room and then cement the door shut. We'll break you out 2 years from now when you've done what you need to do. That's why I like him so much with Mimbu, because Mimbu's a horse. Like, Mimbu is insanely strong and got long arms. So I can kind of counteract some of the weakness deficiencies with Savaiinaea early on. And even if I put Savaiinaea on... No, I don't want to put him on the left side because Tyler Smith's already actively doing that for Tyler Guyton. We have Big Brother, Little Brother on our offensive line. And oddly enough, the two big brothers are bigger, which is odd. The weaker two guys on this line are the two bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
I like Savaiinaea a lot with Dallas. I think he fits what they're trying to do, and they've been really interested in him through the process.
Pick number 77, the New England Patriots picked that one up from the Atlanta Falcons. What do the Patriots do?
New England here at 77, Jacob Parrish, cornerback, Kansas State. This is a preemptive strike on Marcus Jones because I don't think they're going to be able to re-sign him. I could not – this is one of those – you could be really good at something and still be really stupid. So New England used to be one of those teams that I hated doing mock drafts for because they weren't as open and honest about the guys they were interested in. So they would play that stupid game with – we brought in a bunch of guys that went to like West Lafayette Technical Institute for development of service animals. And it's like, you've never drafted one of these guys ever. What are you, just paying a free trip to Boston? You just trying to do some outreach? Now they do it. But I look at sometimes, I kept looking at Jacob Parrish going, they've been in on him on every single event we've done. And I could not wrap my brain around why. Oh, because this is Marcus Jones' fourth year in the league, and somebody's going to overpay him, and that is the worst kept secret in the world. So you take Jacob Parrish in 4 corner sets, or if you dealt with an injury, he would be a starter off the jump. He is the replacement to Marcus Jones in a year. Can't pay everybody.
The Arizona Cardinals at number 78.
Get your Shane O'Mac button ready for after this Arizona pick. Red C's been awaiting this for quite some time. And I don't know if he's going to love it, but he's the one that put it in my head. So if you don't like it, you only have yourself to blame. The offensive line coach for Ohio State left and went to Arizona. It's Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State. This is where he belongs. He doesn't belong in the first round. He doesn't belong in the second round. But Arizona needs a guard right now. Everything I have been told is that Jonah Williams and Paris Johnson Jr. will be the starting tackles of this team next year. Donovan Jackson slides right in as a starter immediately. And you're going to get a top 20 to 25 guard in the league immediately. The only problem is that he's going to be that every single year for the next 10 years. There is no high side. None. That's a third-round pick to me. You're going to get a lot of Darius Alexander, same thing. Anthony Belton, same thing. These are guys that there's not necessarily that next tier. Or they're so not ready to play right now that none of it matters. I love Donovan Jackson to the Arizona Cardinals. We have two, count them, my friend.
Yep.
Shano Max.
Super chats. All right.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money,
Slammin' Sammy Joe also gifted a Sportsocracy membership that went to Lance Dominguez, great Packer fan listener of this here program. Even every contribution gets noted. He said, sorry, I'm broke. Don't say sorry. We appreciate all contributions here. Because guess what? We're broke too.
Precisely.
We work harder than any two poor individuals you will ever meet in your life. And then log this, who is I feel completely okay calling him the MVP of this chat or of this this mock draft set.
Yes.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money.
Wrong this said, I'm a Rams fan. Don't falafel up the 2/3 round picks. I can't say the word that you said because this goes on the radio. So let me, with all the contributions he's made, I need to make sure I didn't falafel this up for the Rams. Let's go to 90.
You did not.
No, that's not falafeling that up. Let's go to 101. Nope, that's not. Nope, you're good. You should like both of these.
All right, and let's see here. Where are we? Oh, I lost my place. Where do we have another one?
Nope. Yes, we do. Sorry.
Yeah, we do have another one from Red Sea.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money.
Red Sea with a question for the Mullet King, Mr. Mullet King, he says. Where's the edge rusher for the Arizona Cardinals?
So I had a feeling that he was gonna ask this. I do have an edge rusher. It's at 115, and it's Q Robinson from Alabama, who I love. And if you've watched our draft coverage, you know I love. I'm not just saying that because he just asked me that.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at where they've invested their money, I think you can be a little patient because you do have Zaven Collins. I think Q Robinson can come in and rush the passer right now. You're just going to have to be patient on everything else because he hadn't played that many snaps.
Right.
But that is the answer to your question. He came in at number 115.
Number 79, that pick belongs to the Houston Texans. This one's been through several hands
Yeah.
already, with Dolphins, Eagles, and Commanders landing in the lap of the Houston Texans. What do?
Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. This is the second tight end for Houston. I like the combo of him and Dalton Schultz. Arroyo's a seam stretcher that almost becomes like a big slot for Houston. He was routinely beating corners at the Senior Bowl deep, which is weird to see out of somebody that's playing tight end. He is freakishly athletic. He's a little raw and only played one level of high-level snaps. But, man, that 1 year was really, really good. Good hands, good athlete, talented kid. I like Elijah Arroyo. They had him in on a top 30 visit last week.
Okay. The Indianapolis Colts come up next at number 80 overall.
Some will love this, some will hate this, but Tyler Shuck, quarterback out of Louisville. We can all agree that this Anthony Richardson thing has gone exactly how I told you it was going to.
Yes, it has.
I don't really care that you signed Daniel Jones. That doesn't mean squat to me.
Mm-mm.
I saw a big quarterback with a big arm that was really old. I think he's the most productive quarterback I've seen for the Colts in quite some time. That was one Mr. Joe Nathaniel Falco. Tyler Shuck is a big quarterback with a pretty nice arm that he's actually mobile. I think people are going to see this and go, but I thought he was going to end up going higher than this. The injury history. And I've feared this the whole time because I love this kid. I mean, I am just drunk in love on this kid. He's my 4th quarterback overall. I have him ahead of Milroe. I think teams are going to get to draft day, and he's talked to a billion teams. I think they're going to get to draft day, and they're going to really struggle to hit the button because they're afraid that they never get anything out of him. And now the injury history does not scare me that much because it's a collarbone. Let's see, it was a collarbone, a shoulder, and a tib-fib, I think is what he had. It's not like ACLs or hips or any of these things that can become really, really chronic. The thing that does worry me...
It's just heavy collisions that are breaking him.
And it means that your bones are brittle. And that can be a real big problem in the NFL. And I think that's why he gets pushed down, even though I have yet to meet a person that doesn't just absolutely love him.
Yep.
As a player and as a person.
The Indianapolis Colts picking at number 80 overall, going with Tyler Shuck, the quarterback out of Louisville. When we come back from the break here in the Sportsocracy on the final Sportsocracy mock draft of the Draftmas season, the Cincinnati Bengals will have the selection, the 17th pick of the 3rd round. Is there another South Carolina Gamecock that we can shoehorn in here after they've already taken 2 in the draft? We'll find out next.
The Sportsocracy.
Hello, everybody. This is good old JR Jim Ross, WWE Hall of Famer. Boy, these boys are smart. You talk about goofier than a pet coon. Let me tell you something. This show is a legitimate slobber knocker.
It is ESPN Asheville, the Sportsocracy. It's draft week, and we are on the road right now. I know you hear us, and it doesn't sound like we're on the road, but we are. The final Sportsocracy mock draft of the Draftmas season. Today, we will be back with you live on Thursday from Lake Sturgeon. Is it Sturgeon Lake? No, it's
Little
Sturgeon
Bay.
Little Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. Just north of Green Bay, coming to you from the Lake House. We'll be with you live on Thursday at noon right here on ESPN Asheville. But in the meantime, we got to wrap up the 3-round mock draft, the official submission of one Jeremy Greene into the media analyst contest. We're up to pick number 81, and the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock.
JT Tuimoloau, edge rusher, Ohio State.
All right, that makes the Ohio fans happy.
The problem with JTT is that I don't think he's ever going to be a great pass rusher. He's a replacement for Sam Hubbard. It's exactly what he's going to be. He's also a safeguard if Miles Murphy never turns into what you want him to. Because if you need a guy to play end, he can play end and give you just enough as a pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Not great, but he's on the opposite side of Trey Hendrickson, which will help. But he's really good against the run.
Rebuilding that defense for the Cincinnati Bengals with another defensive player after taking the 2 from South Carolina.
Yeah, it's going to be a minute before you hear an offensive player come off the board for Cincinnati. But we need a guard. I know you do. Don't worry. I'm going to get you one. Mm-hmm. It's just it's going to be tomorrow.
All right, at number 82, the Seattle Seahawks are next.
Kyle Kennard, edge rusher, South Carolina.
No, now wait a minute. You back that up a pick. We're getting all the Gamecocks to the Cincinnati Bengals.
No.
They passed on Kyle Kennard.
It's funny. Not everybody likes Kennard as much as I do. And I don't know why. That's a lie. I do know
what is it about him.
Well, it's that he's built like a 3-4 edge, 3-4 outside linebacker, but he doesn't play that way. And I don't think he's mobile enough to play that way. I think he can in a pinch, but then I kind of look at what Seattle does and go, okay, you could find a way around some of these things because you do have a Leonard Williams and you do have a Byron Murphy, and you've really invested in that front. And I think that allows Kennard to just be what he is. Kyle Kennard is a situational edge rusher, fact or fiction?
A fact.
We've worried so much about, well, how's he going to hold up against the run, which he did fine at South Carolina. He had a lot of help because, as I'm sure anybody that's been here for the full 7 hours of commercial-free radio recording knows, we've had a lot of South Carolina guys here. South Carolina guys go here. But if you put him into just that situational role, I think he could really work in the NFL.
Seattle really loading up on the SEC prospects here. They got one from Texas, one from LSU, one from Georgia now, one from Columbia, South Carolina. Kyle Kennard, the edge rusher, going to Seattle with the 18th pick in the 3rd round. The 19th pick, that's the Houston Texans.
Alfred Collins, defensive tackle out of Texas. I know you really like this kid.
I do. I mean, he's just another big space eater, sandwich eater dude.
He's a real good run defender.
Him clogging up a hole for D'Amico Ryans, I'm in.
I like him in that defense. My fear is that he's going to be asked to play true nose as a zero. And I'm afraid, look, you understand, Alfred Collins gained I think over the course of his time at Texas, I want to say he gained 55 pounds. Because he was an edge rusher coming out of high school. Yeah, I'm a little worried about the weight, and I'm not the only one. The play on the field is impressive. You are going to have to explain to me, how did you get passed by Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy? They're both way younger than you, and they both played ahead of you. That's odd to me. Mm-hmm. But look, there's Raw there. This is where he belongs. I see him go too high in mock drafts a lot. I like him. I think he's a nice piece. This is like the Sheldon Rankins rule. Hey, if I told you a player was going to be Sheldon Rankins for the next 10 years, where would you take them?
Number 84.
I guess he
Tampa
treated that as a rhetorical.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Yeah, sorry.
It would be the 3rd round. That was the answer was exactly where I took Alfred Collins. So it could have been rhetorical.
Okay, fair enough. I thought that was another one of those. Guess how many? You want to hear it again? The NFL draft at number 84, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock.
Jared Ivey, edge rusher, Ole Miss.
All right, tell me why I should love this.
Because he's the 5 tech that's going to play that spot inside of Yaya Diaby for the next at least 4 years. And now that's going to allow Yaya to, because Yaya's not a big guy. Yaya plays outside linebacker in a 3-4 because he's real thin, and he doesn't hold up well against the run. So now you throw Jared Ivey in front of him. Jared Ivey is a moose. I mean, an absolute horse of a human being that is strong as all get out. Got a really nice first step. The problem is I do not see how he plays anything but 5 tech. That's why he's still available here.
Okay. Very, very specific scheme that he fits into.
No doubt.
Number 85, got the Denver Broncos up for another selection.
I have a funny feeling that Soaring Eagle is going to hate what I'm about to do. But I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and your answer is going to dictate, I think, that this makes a lot of sense. What's the position that Sean Payton has mentioned all year that they wanted to add in the draft?
More than tight end?
They wanted a joker, like one of those guys that you can put all over over and just does everything. Is there one of those left that plays tight end?
No.
Not really. Harold Fannin Jr. would be the closest, and I think he's more of an H-back than he is anything.
Okay.
Is there a player that does that?
That one wide receiver kid you keep talking about.
That
Savion Williams.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Savion
the
Williams.
Running back.
TCU.
The wide receiver who's a better running back.
He's a better running back right now. He played wide receiver. He just played out of the backfield, too. If you're looking for a joker, this is the best joker in this class. He's also 6'4", really good with the ball in his hand. You just got to figure out what he is. You took a Marion Hampton in the first round. I don't need him to be a running back. He can be a nice passing game running back, but I don't need him to be that. I need him to be that in the passing game, where I can use him in that Deebo Samuel type role, which is the joker role. Now I can move him all over the formation. He's good for really easy completions for Bo Nix. This is another one of those that once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. And he's one that I was so disappointed in because he didn't show up at the Senior Bowl. He just dipped at the last second. And he didn't run as fast at the combine as I wanted him to. And it was like a kid that gets mad at a toy because they accidentally hit themselves in the face with it. And I just went, no, you're stupid, and I hate you, and I don't want to play with you anymore. And I threw it in the back of the toy box, and I forgot about it. And then I kept putting him to Buffalo, and Buffalo was like, nope, we don't want him. So I started having to move him around. And I got to this spot, and I went, there's not really a guy that makes sense for you to take here. Savion Williams makes sense for you to take here.
You are in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM at 1400. One more break. When we come back, we will wrap up the final mock draft of the Draftmas season next.
The Sportsocracy.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen. Let's keep moving forward.
It is the final countdown here in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville. The final mock draft of the Sportsocracy's Draftmas season. Now, Jeremy, we've got some super chats that we need to get to here before the final 17 picks.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
All right, and the first one comes from Red Sea. He says, you have been forgiven. Okay, so making up for that whole Michael Williams thing in the first round.
Red Sea's the Cardinals. He was making up for when I told him he got Q Robinson in the fourth round. He went, okay, there's the edge rusher I wanted.
There you go. And then another one.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
He also says this live stream outlasted my entire work shift. Yes.
Yes.
Once again, if you are hearing this on ESPN Asheville, this is recorded from late last week, and we've been going at it for 7 hours now. And
we'll be doing this every year moving forward because this has worked out quite nicely.
Yes, to get in the full Sportsocracy final mock draft from at ESPN Draft Nerd. The next selection up here is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Terrence Ferguson, tight end, Oregon. I really like this kid, and obviously I like him a lot more now that I've had somebody basically telling me every reason I should love him, no less than once a week, which is the guy working him out, Logan Paulson. I think he could end up being the steal of this draft at tight end, and he really fits what I think Harbaugh wants ultimately. He's not a road grader as a blocker yet, but he's got really good hands, and he's a giant.
Terrence Ferguson, the 86th overall pick. 87, that's the Green Bay Packers.
Elijah Roberts, edge rusher, SMU. You put him inside Ezeraku, and good luck, because those two are complementary as they get. Elijah Roberts to me, will be a 5-tech because I think he's too thick to really play on the outside. I'm not sure if he's fast enough either, but he is one of the best all-around linemen in this class. He's just a very specific fit, and I think he would fit nicely with the Green Bay Packers.
Next up at 88 is the Jacksonville Jaguars in a pick that they got from the Minnesota Vikings.
You got to have an over-the-top safety. Darnell Savage was not signed by this administration, and I don't think the terrible play from last year is going to be dealt with for long. Andrew Makuba, safety from Texas. If this kid was an inch taller or 2 inches taller, we would be having a very different conversation. He's just not a good tackler, but he's probably the best coverage safety in this class, even better than Malachi Starks. Really rangy. Just you're going to have a safety with him that can tackle because he can tackle receivers. You start getting into running backs and tight ends, and it gets a little bootsy.
Number 89, the Philadelphia Eagles, a pick from the Houston Texans.
Philadelphia loves taking guys that, hey, they just fell in my lap. It's what they do with Lathan Ransom, safety from Ohio State. Hey, all those things I just said about Andrew Makuba, do the exact opposite, and you have Lathan Ransom. Because Lathan Ransom's not a great coverage guy, but he will disconnect your head from your body if you're not careful. Really good against the run. He's kind of a safeguard for Sidney Brown, and I think they could use them in alternating situations. Ransom, you mentioned him the other day that you couldn't believe he wasn't getting more love in this process. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
He is just he's a monster, and I get that maybe the coverage ain't great, but the tackling is good, and I'm all about it. Number 90, it's the Los Angeles Rams.
Got to make sure I knock this one out of the park since we had gigantic super chats from a Rams fan. Wyatt Millum, offensive tackle guard out of West Virginia. This kid's way better than this. It made me angry as a West Virginia guy that he fell this far in this. Because it's just dumb. Like, he can do a little bit of everything. He's probably the best true run blocker in this class. And he can play guard or tackle. He would start as probably the swing tackle. But if anybody got hurt at guard, and ultimately would be the replacement to Rob Havenstein. I think he can play tackle in the league. I know not everybody agrees with me on that, but I like this kid so much. I also think he could be a Pro Bowl guard.
Wyatt Millum, number 90. To the Los Angeles Rams.
The Rams had only had one pick. They had Jod Campbell in the first round. You get to this point, you got to take the best player on the board. It helps if they feel a need, and I did want to add another lineman for the Rams at some point in this draft.
Mm-hmm. Number 91, the Baltimore Ravens up next.
Noel Williams, cornerback, California. I am probably higher on him than anybody in the industry, of which, by the way, if you think I've said, I like this guy a lot, well, it's my mock draft. I should like them. Because if I don't like them, they probably didn't appear. Noel's the best press man corner in this class. I really like him as a compliment to Nate Wiggins that they drafted last year because Wiggins is thin, and he plays better off. Then you've got Humphrey playing out of the slot. You got the two really good safeties back behind it. There's really nothing that you can't deal with.
And as we all know, they love to collect talent in the draft, and this could be another killer pick.
Oh, no doubt.
Later. Throughout the process here, you did make me think Noel was going to go higher than this. So
he's more of a project than I have probably made him out to be. Because when I say he's really good in press, he is. The only problem is that he can get way too aggressive. And what happens if he gets beat? Because he's one of those that gets his hands into you off the jump. And he can get a little grabby and he can get a little aggressive. But I do think Baltimore can coach that out of him.
Another pick that has changed hands several times, from the Lions to the Jets to the Raiders, now to the Seahawks, number 92 overall.
You know, Seattle throughout this whole thing, I still am not 100% sure that you have a true nose tackle, so I'm going to go get you one. C.J. West, Indiana. I get it. He's short and got shorter arms, and you know how you deal with that? Put him on a line with Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams. I think he'll be just fine. If you go back and watch Indiana's tape last year, he was a lot of the reason that team was so good. Because they were practically impossible to run on. It also helped that they could score and get you behind, and then you didn't run. But C.J. West is a dog.
Yeah. 6'2", 317. That's a big old boy. After C.J. West at 92, we go to the New Orleans Saints at number 93.
Quinn Ewers, quarterback out of Texas. I think Andreas Pinckney has finally forgiven me for the Michael Williams selection. He liked the next two, and he even said, I'm completely resigned to Quinn Ewers being our pick at 93. The Saints have been in on him. I think that is the quarterback they bring in as almost the safeguard for if Rattler just goes completely off the rails this year, they'll chuck Ewers out there, see what they got in him. The arm talent's great. His feet are terrible. There are times I could watch him and I would swear to God that his feet and his hands and his brain were on three completely different wavelengths. But when his feet are set, that kid can spin it. But it always seemed like those feet got out of line when it was the biggest moment.
And hopefully it plays out this way, that the teams that need quarterbacks, they can leisurely wait around and get their guy. Yeah, that's my biggest fear with teams like New Orleans is that, well, we don't have the quarterback, so we're going to force it early rather than waiting to see where it shakes out. The fact that there's prognostications that they're going quarterback at 9 and then it could be Quinn Ewers at 9.
That's insane.
Ridiculous.
That's not happening. If they Shedeur Sanders, they could take him at 9. I don't think they're going to. But
Jackson Dart, that's another name at 9 that I've been seeing.
9, I wouldn't hate Jackson Dart at 9, but I don't think it's going to happen. There's not enough love in this quarterback class. And look, the only team that you're really worried about with Quinn Ewers, as of the best that I know, is the Raiders, and I don't know where exactly they were supposed to take him.
Right. Let's go to the Minnesota Vikings at number 94, pick they got from the Browns.
I've thrown this one out there a good number of times that they would end up taking a zone heavier corner here, but the name changed. This time, It's Mello Dotson, cornerback out of Kansas. It's so funny to me that Kansas has two corners that are going to go within just a few picks of each other, and they could not be more different because Mello is really good in zone. Kobe Bryant's really good in zone. Mello is really good in press man and then complete off ball. I like the varying different looks that you could get for Minnesota with Mello Dotson. I feel like they have to add a corner. You know, they lost Kyrie Jackson in that car wreck last year. Kyrie Jackson was a bigger version of Mello Dotson, and this is the same brain trust. So that was where my brain went. Was those two kind of remind me of each other. And so you get Mello Dotson here in the third round.
31st pick in the third round, number 95 overall, Kansas City Chiefs up next.
Sure, Chief fans are thinking, but we haven't taken an edge rusher. Well, you have now, and it's Jack Sawyer, edge, Ohio State. He fits a very specific scheme. And it's 4-man front. Do not ask him to stand up. Just ask him to go see ball, get ball. And in this scenario, he would be doing that on a defensive line with Kenneth Grant and Chris Jones, which means he's never not going to see one-on-ones. And look, I get it. He has a lot of athleticism issues because he's about as athletic as a wet sneeze. But he wins. He wins, and he wins a lot. And you get him as a rotational piece, I think this is a home run for Kansas City. I think this will be a home run draft for Kansas City, by the way.
There's some very good selections indeed. The Philadelphia Eagles are next up at number 96.
They've been all over this kid, and I almost pushed him into the 4th round, but I don't know that he would make it there. It's Jaden Blue, running back out of Texas. They were on him at the combine. They were on him they had him in for a top 30 visit. They were at his pro day. It is very obvious to me, based on some of the guys that Philadelphia's talked to, that they really want a pass-catching running back. Jaden Blue's probably the second best one in this class. But he's the best one all around. Because the next one would be LaQuint Allen from Syracuse, and he's really only a pass catcher. Jaden Blue could end up being really good in this league. We haven't talked about him much, but the more I watch him, the more I like him.
Getting into the comp picks in the 3rd round, the Minnesota Vikings, 33rd pick of the round.
Brashard Smith, running back SMU. This is another one of those that I've shoehorned the team and the player for about as long as I can remember, because I think with his ability to catch out of the backfield and swing out wide and be kind of like we were talking earlier about Savion Williams, he can be a move piece that's really beneficial for a young quarterback. I love the idea of pairing him with what you've got, and he was really good as a running back last year. Still learning how to play the position, but there's a lot of raw talent in Brashard Smith.
The Miami Dolphins, with their 3rd selection of the draft, took Jahdae Barron in the 1st round, Kevin Winston Jr., the free safety out of Penn State, in the 2nd round, and now in the 3rd round with a comp pick at number 98 overall. Which way do they go?
Cameron Williams, guard out of Texas. He is a gigantic human being. Moves really well for his size. Only started for 1 year. Started at right tackle. And I think he's so raw. The thing that scares me about Cameron Williams is I thought a team would fall in love with him. And he would wind up at like the middle of 2, maybe even on the higher side of 2. He was on the best offensive line in the country last year. And I could make the argument that he was never really great. He had a couple good games. He's a raw. Could be a tackle, could be a guard. You just got to give him some time to develop. I really like him in zone. He has to stop with the penalties. He's the most penalized player in the SEC last year.
The New York Giants, they got pick number 99.
You remember all those things I just said about Cameron Williams?
Yes.
Do the exact opposite, and you get Ozzie Trapillo, offensive tackle from Boston College. He is
the exact opposite.
He is the exact opposite. There's no high side, but he's a ready-made product, and I think he could come in and play right away. To me, that's the replacement. If they said Jermaine Illuminor, if for some reason that name stuck in my head. If that were to not work out, Trapillo can play guard. He can play outside. Just really smart. He just kind of is what he is.
All right. I'm looking here, and I didn't. Yeah, Illuminor is.
That's who I thought it was.
Yeah.
I knew they had signed somebody. That was just the name that was stuck in my head.
Yeah. 36th pick in the third round. Another comp pick here. San Francisco 49ers up next.
Chris Pooh Paul Jr., linebacker, Ole Miss. I love him in this system.
Jersey.
I do. I love him in this system, and I don't really love him anywhere else. His way, and I saw this on the PFF. We're using PFF for the YouTube stream. He's in the second percentile of weight for linebackers. Not all linebackers. This is just off-ball guys.
Okay. That's a little small.
I love Pooh Paul, but I really love him with the San Francisco 49ers.
Mm-hmm. All right, the penultimate pick of the third round of the mock draft, the Los Angeles Rams select
I'd done every one of these so well. I was trying to answer a question. Kobe Bryant, cornerback out of Kansas. I did not realize how little zone or how little man the Rams actually play. Kobe Bryant's a dog in zone.
Mm-hmm.
It's man where he gets falafeled up. But you put him in this Ram scheme, I think he could be a starter off the jump. He is probably the most competitive guy in this class. And the only way I remember that is his namesake. He's just like his namesake that played basketball. Hyper competitive. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if that kid wound up being really, really good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the Los Angeles Rams have made 3 picks in the draft. 26 overall in the first round, you had them take Jahad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama. And then now 2 picks in the third round. They went Wyatt Millum out of West Virginia, the tackle, and now Kobe Bryant, the cornerback from Kansas. It's a pretty decent draft.
I think it's very
pick,
solid for the Rams. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Final pick of the mock draft here, third round, number 102 overall, the Detroit Lions.
Harold Fannin Jr., tight end, H-back
Bowling Green
thing. Dude with really good hands that does some stuff out of Bowling Green. They have been so locked into him through this process that I almost don't see a way that he doesn't wind up with him, or wind up with them, excuse me. Oh, my goodness. I don't know how much time we have left, but we just had another thing happen in the chat.
Not much.
Harold Fannin to me is a better blocking version of Jonnu Smith.
Okay. I can get down with that.
How long do I have to actually say what I got right here?
You got like 30 seconds.
Sweet. Long this just got gifted another 50 Sportsocracy memberships in our chat. So I'm going to take it that he enjoyed what we gave the Rams.
Yes. Thank you very much. We
that is
appreciate
109 new members in this one. Along this is the new champion of gifting memberships in the Sportsocracy forever. That dude, the real MVP.
Just call him the Candy Man. He's just handing them out all over the place. The 3-round mock draft in the books, the final mock draft of the Draftmas season. When you hear our voices again, we will be with you from Wisconsin. From Little Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, we'll be live with you on Thursday. All of the coverage of the NFL draft right here in the Sportsocracy. Be sure to follow us on the social medias at the Sportsocracy. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you know whenever we are live throughout the NFL draft weekend.
The schedule's up on our social medias, so if you want to know where we'll be, when, doing what, it is up on our social medias now.
Indeed. We will see you on Thursday back here on 92.9.